Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, February 26, 2019. I'd like to welcome everybody here today. We'll begin our meeting by asking Terry Wright, the pastor of Grace Fellowship Church in Palaca, to come forward to present our invocation, and Commissioner Turner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand?
Let's pray together. Well, Father, we thank you once again for a beautiful day. Thank you for the opportunity to live in Putnam County. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gifts and the abilities you've endowed upon these men and women who lead our county. Thank you for placing them in positions of authority. Father, I pray now that you grant all of us wisdom and insight beyond our years, beyond our experience, as only you can do. Lord, again, it is a privilege to live in America. It is a greater privilege to live in Putnam County with some of the greatest people you've ever made. We love you, Lord, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Wright and Commissioner Turner. I know we have some minutes to approve, don't we?
No, sir. Not for this meeting. We'll get those to you for the next meeting.
Okay. All right, we do have a walk-on agenda item that needs to be presented, so I'll turn that over to County Administrator Suggs.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We have a work order or a task order here, task order 34 for AWA Contracting Company. Is for the 207 East Palaca Fire Station. We've had to make some changes out there. We have a deductive change order here from Shearer Construction, as well as a task order to award to AWA in the amount of $60,619.99. Excuse me, I'm battling a cold this morning for site work, slab work, concrete work at the new fire station at East Palaca on 207. My apologies for bringing this last minute. This was a situation that came up very late last week where there was a change in subcontractors, and so this is an award for a new contractor to get the concrete poured for the fire station.
Okay. We'll start with questions. Commissioner Turner?
I just want to give everybody some background on what took place. The contractor that they have record, the construction manager, their concrete sub could not perform at a schedule that we needed to keep us from being on time, and so they decided to change subs. They changed subs by shifting it to our continuing services contractor, which gave us a bid on it. And it's going to end up saving the county 18 days in the schedule and $26,000 off the costs. So because of some issues that there's no need in going into today, the project was slipping further and further behind, and this is what had to be done to try and catch it back up to schedule. The reason it became an emergency walk-on is we literally got the paperwork yesterday afternoon about 3 o'clock put together. We have to wait, and it has to come to the board because it's over $50,000 and it's a county contract. If it was $50,000 or less, then the chairman and the administrator could have dealt with it. But with it being 60, it has to come to the board, and that's why we need. This guy is literally waiting on going over there to get started to do this job today if we give him the go-ahead of this board. So, like I said, that'll put us back on schedule. The rush here is obviously if we don't have that project done by June 30th, substantially complete by June 30th, that we stand to lose $1.8 million in grants. So I think it's an emergency situation if we stand to lose $1.8 million because we're not on schedule. That's the push. So if anybody has any questions for myself or Press or Quinn, they know about it also. They're on the team. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, shouldn't we just make this an agenda item L and then deal with it when we deal with our consent agenda at that point? Would that be the proper procedure?
Commissioner Turner?
The reason that I asked that this be walked on is this man is literally sitting over there with his crew, and he's gonna pack up and leave, which would at least throw us back another day. Today, we're gonna get rain. If we get rain before we can put the 57 stone in the bottom of these footers, then we're not gonna reach compaction, and it's gonna be could be another week for it to dry out enough to get compaction in the footer. So every minute is a big thing right now in this stage of the project. That's why that we brought it on first thing instead of waiting to the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Ross?
I guess I got a couple of questions. Why has dewatering not been considered up before now? In my estimation, look at the job site, had well points been put down and the site dewatered, this wouldn't be a concern. The second question is, are we gaining 18 days in the schedule, or are we getting 18 days back that we've lost?
Chris?
It's up to Mr. Chair, and I'm glad to try to answer his question, Mr. Chair.
We'll start with Commissioner Turner.
The biggest thing is they have been dewatering, but the problem they're having with the surface water is not from groundwater. And so you can suck all you want out. The dirt that was used for the surcharge area, which was then compacted and used for the pad, does not perk at a high enough rate of speed. They've been dewatering on the backside with a pump, and they can pump all of it out you want, but if you look in the retention pond, the actual water is down 3 foot from the bottom of the deep footers. So you can dewater the site as long as you want, but if it doesn't perk out of the dirt that was used in the slab for the building pad itself, it's not gonna do anything. So they've been drying it out, and that's why they came up with the deal to put a 12 inches of 57 stone in the bottom to reach density in the bottom of the deep footers.
All right, what about this? Are we gaining 18 days, or are we catching up 18 days that we've lost?
Well, the deal is if we had to wait on the existing concrete sub, it would be another 18 days before he can come on site. That's the reason the decision was made to get a new concrete sub in place. AWA said they'd move straight in and go to work straight on it, where the other guy wouldn't come in for a while. That's the reason why, and this was done. There's not gonna be an issue because this guy actually agreed to let the contract go, so it's not a problem. So he had so much work, he just couldn't get in there any quicker.
But the question is, are we gaining 18 days, or are we catching up 18 that we've lost? And if the original sub was intended to come in the middle of March, are we on schedule with him coming in the middle of March, or do we need these 18 days to catch up?
We're actually behind schedule at the present time.
Okay.
Making this move will move us about 2 weeks out of schedule, but still within the time frame necessary to finish by June 30th. If we wait until the middle of March to start this, I don't see how, without working nights and weekends, which you know as well as I do, you're not gonna get subs to do that. And so other than working nights and weekends, we're not gonna make the schedule, and the potential is there to lose the grants. So
The water and sewer that's going to be run out, you said that we have to be at substantial completion by June 30th?
just with the building, I think we have longer on the water.
Well,
So-
the definition of substantial completion is the building can be used for its intended purpose. If it doesn't have water or sewer, you won't get substantial completion. You have to have hot and cold running water, and be able to house people in there.
We have talked to the building department, and I don't know that he can do us any good with that or not, but there's
That's gonna
other
come
ways
from
of
an
getting
architect.
water. I mean, excuse me?
The architect has to write the letter of substantial completion. That comes from an architect, not from a building official.
I understand, but we can also get a letter, if the building department deems it that they can, we can get a letter from them. Yeah, go ahead, Press.
I don't hate to interrupt, but no, I believe the water main is next on your agenda to have the water main. We've already dealt with that. The contractor, he will have the water to the site, and we are actually going to put a septic tank system in to handle the sewer. So the water and sewer will be available by June 30th to have the substantial completion.
So we're switching to septic instead of, we're not.
Where the original design was always septic.
Okay.
We were trying to, the sewer main from Port Buena Vista going down 207 is still in design. So it was no way feasible for us to be able to hook to that at this point in time. So we went with the same septic tank system that was originally designed for the building.
Okay.
And we did look at that, Commissioner. We looked at it pretty hard about how we could maybe use this as leverage to help the money for this to help us get that
Right.
sewer line there and not have to put in a septic system. There was just no way to do it in the time frame that was allotted that we have to do this project in, so we went forward with the original design.
Okay, that was another concern I had was that we just talked about that in the past month, going from Point Buena Vista to the fire station and getting that sewer along 207. That's going to be much longer than 3-month project.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Harvey?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of task order number 34.
Second.
Okay,
Before we actually take action on that, we'll need public comment.
okay, I'd like to open up public comment portion of this agenda item. Any persons wishing to speak for or against this agenda item, please come to the podium. Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion now.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of task order number 34 as an emergency item.
Second.
Okay, we've got a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Rawls. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda item passes. Okay, next, before we get to presentations, we have a recognition. Would Miss Yolanda Watts come forward? Yolanda has been our receptionist for the past few months, and we understand she's going to be leaving us and moving on to St. Johns County. And Commissioner Harvey did get the flowers for us, and thank you, Larry. But Yolanda, you've been a great asset as our receptionist, taking all the calls and some probably not so courteous calls of complaints and things like that, and all that you do for the county commission and all the employees. So we just appreciate you, and we wish you well in your next endeavor.
Thank you
Okay?
so much.
Thank you.
Proclamation time.
Okay, next on our agenda, presentations. Our first presentation will be actually a proclamation, Food Checkout Week. So I'm going to ask Wendy Jo Williams, and I believe she has some of her board members. Brian Jones, the president of St. Johns County Farm Bureau. And so if y'all will come up, we'll do the proclamation. I've asked Commissioner Harvey to read the proclamation for us today.
Yeah, I was just fixing to say, it looks to me like we got a fellow county commissioner from over in Clay County in that group too.
Okay, I'm gonna have Brian introduce everybody, but we'll go ahead and recognize a county commissioner from St. Johns County, Mr. Jeb Smith, the
Yep.
tall one there. Since we're talking about that, on the end, Mr. Teddy Sealer. Teddy Sealer is from South Putnam, District 1. And Teddy has served on the Soil Conservation Board, I believe, for a number of years, and the Planning Commission for a number of years. We just appreciate your service to Putnam County.
Thank you.
And since we have another South Putnam gentleman here, right here, Mr. Joey Froelich. Joey Froelich was a city commissioner in Crescent City for roughly 25 years, and he now serves on the Planning Commission, and this is his second year. We just Appreciate Joey's commitment to Putnam County also. Mr. Harvey?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Putnam County Proclamation Number 2019-10, Food Checkout Week. Whereas it is important that Americans have access to and consume healthful foods containing adequate vitamins, minerals, fiber, and other nutrients. And whereas achieving better nutrition with fewer resources remains a shared concern of our citizens that can be addressed through consumer education and wise shopping strategies. And whereas Florida farmers and ranchers are unmatched in their ability to consistently produce an abundance of safe, nutritious, and affordable food. And whereas producers confront significant uncertainties, including inclement weather, damaging insects, and other challenges on a daily basis. And whereas Putnam County farmers, ranchers, and others involved in agriculture working together in an environmentally sustainable way help feed people here in Putnam County, our state, our nation, and all other countries around the world. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners hereby recognizes February 18th through the 23rd of 2019 as Food Checkout Week in Putnam County and calls upon all Americans to join us in recognizing and reflecting upon the strength of our diverse agricultural production and in celebrating its achievement with appropriate observances and activities. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of this proclamation.
I second it.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Proclamation passes. Brian, you'd like to say a few words?
I would if that's okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce real quick Miss Wendy Smith, who is Jeb's most valuable asset. Mr. Greg Harden, who is our Farm Bureau rep with us today, and Miss Wendy Joe. Thank you all for coming. This proclamation is extremely important to me, to you, your family, my family, our neighbors, friends, anyone and everyone. I'm here this morning representing the Putnam St. Johns County Farm Bureau, but I am also here representing all of our farmers. I'm a third-generation local farmer where we grow potatoes in the spring and green beans in the fall. I want you all to know that our ag industry here in Putnam County is important. Farming over 50,000 acres with vegetables, trees, cow-calf operations, goats, blueberries, hay, forestry, aquaculture, among many others. We provide jobs, we contribute, and make an impact to our economy. Tens of millions of dollars every year. We take care of our environment. We farm to feed Americans while dealing with debilitating legislation, uneducated voters, among countless other issues that our county is dealing with that are pushing our farmers further and further away. Less than 1% of our entire population are farmers. We as a nation continue to get further from the farm or even knowing where our food comes from. It is not the store. The farmer has gotten such a bad rap in years past for no reason. We grow safe, affordable, nutritious food for our families and for yours. We eat the same food that you do. We are unmatched in our ability to grow and raise food here in Florida, and I believe that Putnam County is among the finest. Fixed costs continue to rise, disease and weather pressure are nonstop, and we are forced to keep food prices extremely low. Less than 10% of our income is spent on food. Some countries, folks are spending almost half of their income on food. We keep prices low here at the expense of the farmer. We care. We love what we do. We are important. A fundamental part of our well-being as a society depends on the domestic production of food. Tens of thousands of acres right here in Putnam County are doing that for my family, for your family, for everyone, and we are doing it all year long. Food Checkout Week is an opportunity to showcase this. It gives us an opportunity to commemorate the value of our farmers and the safe, abundant, nutritious food supply that we have throughout the year. All across the state, there were events and projects to celebrate this. Mystery shopper events, food sampling booths, farm-to-table events, classroom activities, pop-top collection drives, food donations, and many more. Farmers all around our area are donating food. Broccoli, potatoes are being donated. Lots and lots are being donated to the local food banks. The Putnam St. Johns County Farm Bureau urges you to join in our effort, not just during Food Checkout Week, but all year long, by sharing some of your abundance with others. Donate to local food banks or to families in need. We are proud to highlight Florida agriculture and those that make it successful. I thank God for our abundance, and I thank God for our farmers. They give us all a basic security as a society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Can we get a picture? Okay. Anybody else want to say? Okay, all right, let's get a picture.
Mr. Chairman, you stay there, we'll stay up here. How's that?
Get everybody in the group.
Yep, that's about it. Too much glare?
I am funny in my place.
Yes, you are. Yeah, what does he say? Not as funny as he thinks.
Jed, do you want to talk some? Mr. Commissioner, thank you, sir.
Teddy, good to see you, buddy.
Better to be a few.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Pretty good. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Good seeing you. I love the smile on your face. You're always out.
Okay, our next item, item B, I'll ask Ms. Shirley Griffin, the chairman of the Better Place Plan Oversight Committee, to come and give the annual report. While she's coming up, I'd like to recognize her husband, Mr. Jim Griffin. You wave your hand back there. Jim is a member of the Town Council of Pomona Park, and we appreciate your commitment to Putnam County and Pomona Park. Ms. Shirley, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. Good morning to all you commissioners, all the guests. We appreciate you being here. This morning, I'd like to give the annual report of the Better Site Committee on the Better Plans, Better Plan Overnight. Oh, well, let me start over. The annual report for the Better Place Plan. I'm head of that committee, believe it or not. I'm going to try to speak now. I will read a little bit, and then we will discuss some of the figures, and if you have any questions, we'll see who can answer them. It might be better than myself or myself. The Better Place Plan was established by the Board of County Commissioners in 2002 in accordance with Section 212-055 Florida statutes to finance, plan, and construct infrastructure, which is defined as capital expenditures associated with the construction, reconstruction, or improvement of public facilities that have a life expectancy of 5 years or more. And as provided in the County Ordinance 2002-33, with the purpose of relieving the existing deficiencies in infrastructure for the benefit of the existing residents. For these purposes, the plan provided for a countywide 1% sales surtax, and it's shared with the 5 municipalities to be collected for the 15 calendar years beginning January 1st, 2003 and ending December 31st, 2017. On April 7th, 2015, the county's voters extended this plan to December 31st, 2032. The Better Place Plan Oversight Committee was established at that same time by the Board of County Commissioners to provide oversight that includes a reviewing expenditures of the surtax funds to ensure that they have been spent in accordance with the county ordinance under which the plan was established, and to present to the Board of Commissioners at an annual report on the implementation, progress, status, and surface and completion of all such projects. We have conducted such a review, and in our opinion, that for the year 2018, the surtax funds have been spent in accordance with the letter of the law as set forth in the ordinance. The Oversight Committee is not expected, nor is it qualified, to conduct an actual audit of the program. The Better Place Plan's revenues and expenditures are audited by the county's external auditing during the county's annual audit. Whether the expenditures meet the spirit of the law, the intent of the authors and the voters, is a determination that only the Board of County Commissioners is qualified to make. The board implicitly and explicitly makes those decisions when it approves projects during the year. Better Place Plan tables regarding the funding and status of Better Place Plan projects are listed below and are attached. The data is courtesy of Stacy Popel and Press Thompson. These tables do not include the surtax funds received by the 5 municipalities, which is approximately 18.3% of the total, leaving 81.7% for county projects. Better Place Plan projects undertaken by the municipalities are not included. In addition to the long list of the infrastructure funded over the years by the Better Place Plan, it has resulted in 85.7 miles of roads being resurfaced and 105.80 miles of roads, dirt roads being paved, excluding the municipalities. On table 1, the next page, you will see that this was for the year, just finishing the year of 2018. We had a funding revenue, and the surtax, the interest, and the carryover from the years before came to $12,357,417. The projects are listed below that. They came to a total of $6,045,980. On the next, we had a carryover to this year, 2019, of $6,311,437. On the table on page 2, we have a layout from the inception of this program in 2003 to the end of 2018. We started in 2003 with $3,003,000, $3,379. I'll get it right in a minute. I don't talk in figures this large normally. They're more like $1.98 at the Winn-Dixie. Okay, and we totaled up with $76,293,431. The total revenue for 2018 was $90,313,488. If you go to the next page, would be page 3 table. On this page, we have a total of what was spent for the year, well, from 2003 to 2018. You can see expenditures for paving, resurfacing, business infrastructures, the jail debt, the emergency operations, public work. We have a lot of things that our money goes toward that we do collect on that tax, and it's been a good thing, I think, for our county. Otherwise, I don't believe we'd have half of what we've got. So the total expenditures to date has been $84,002,050, and that is a great total because we've had many expenditures in between that have paid for all these lovely things that we can't actually afford without the tax. So if you have any questions, I'd like to try to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shirley. Commissioner Harvey?
Ms. Shirley, thank you very much for making this presentation today. I was one time in your shoes, standing there as the chairman of Better Place Plan. I am finding it hard, as I talked to you before earlier, for people, citizens to serve on this committee. And I apologize for that, but it's not just this committee, it's other committees too. So I want to say that publicly. If you have a desire, audience, to serve on that committee, it is district specific. You have to live in the district that I represent or any of the commissioners represent. But I'm sure you would love to have people come. and help
Yes,
you along
we
with
need
that.
people that are interested in our county and doing better things for it and giving their input, and that's about all we really do, but that's what's important, is having the input.
Ms. Griffin, thank you very much. Thank you,
I
Mr.
would
Chairman.
like to just add that I am in the district of South Putnam and Pomona Park, and we have done so much in our town over the years, over even the last 10 years. I don't have the figures because the ladies weren't able to get them for me for today, but we have parks, we have refurbished. Does that mean my 3 minutes is up?
The trap door opens up and
Kinda
you fall
drops
down.
me
is
out.
what-
But we have a ball field that we keep up for Little League, and there's just many things. Our parks are very important to us, and we have a beach, so that's one that we have spent a lot of money, and we keep spending a lot of money to just keep it going and clean and everything else. But this money has been really spent well, I think, by most of the municipalities, and I know that Pomona Park certainly appreciates it, and everyone there does. So thank you guys, and all of us that pay it, we don't mind at all. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Rawls?
Couple questions. Loans received for 13.5 million, what are the loans for?
And what page are you looking at, that one? Two?
Table 2.
Table 2?
Those loans were purchased several years ago when we did all that road work.
The,
The 10 million and the 3.5 million.
are they loans taken up by the Better Place Plan or by the county?
The county commission approved through the Better Place Plan to take out those loans.
Okay,
And then we did all that road work with it, and those loans are now paid off.
okay.
Yeah.
The $6.5 million plus or minus that's left over this year, at the last meeting in December, there was a consensus of the members to try to have some input, and the commission had talked at length at a workshop about getting a joint meeting with the BPP and ourselves. Any idea when that's going to happen?
Yes. I spoke with Ms. Shirley Griffin before our meeting today, and I was going to bring that up before she
Stealing with them?
finished her report. They're meeting they meet once a quarter, is that correct, Ms.
Yes,
Shirley?
yes.
And so Wednesday, March 20th at 4 p.m. would be their next scheduled meeting, and they would like for the Board of County Commissioners and some staff to meet with them rather than change it to 3 or a later time. We'll meet at their regular time at 4, and if it continues past their hour, then it'll just continue past the hour. So, and I think that's open. I don't think we have anything that particular Wednesday. We're going to Tallahassee the next week, so if that's good with everybody.
It's good with me.
You said the 20th?
The 20th, yeah, Wednesday the 20th, and they meet in our meeting room, the boardroom.
And for you guys that are having such a hard time getting people to go onto this committee, try a little bit more, because we really need people that are interested in the county. Don't come if you're just going to sit there and whatever.
Right.
We want you to have input, and we want to make our county better. That's all I know. It's just to make it better. Yeah.
I know that when I asked one of the representatives if she wanted to stay on the board, her initial reaction was no, because she felt like it was a waste of time for the fact that some people didn't show up, there wasn't an available quorum. So they would show up, the meeting would get called 3 months later, same thing. So I think one of the things we can do to help your group is to get people on there that are interested in not only showing up but participating, and then being able to give you guys some more teeth to your committee and allow you to do some more things. You got $6.5 million that we could be spending on other projects right now. So look forward to meeting with you guys next month.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Well, I thank you guys.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Shirley. We appreciate it. Okay, next agenda item, item D, Animal Services.
C.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna skip right over C. I'll ask Terry Wright to come forward and present Veteran Service report in the absence of Mr. Richard Williams.
Thank you guys so much. You were a Marine. Did you learn to read yet?
His daughter's a drill instructor. His daughter's a drill instructor. Yeah.
We Air Force guys.
Terry, give her one. Terry, she needs one for the record. Thank you, sir.
Well, good morning. Thank you guys so much for letting me come. Commission, thank you so much. Sorry for Richard. He's not able to attend today, so he's asked me to pinch hit. To save time, I will not read to you what you can read for yourselves. I will only point out a couple of things to you that might be of some interest. When you look down that first grid where you see claims and office visits, phone calls, that kind of stuff, we keep pretty good records there. So the numbers you're looking at represent pretty accurate accounting. Now, the one area that we might be a little bit slight on are the phone calls, and that's only because we get real busy. So when you have someone sitting in front of you, someone in the waiting room, and phones ringing, sometimes you don't log in the phone call. So that might be a little slim, but that happens from time to time, to be sure. Also know that how we serve the veterans of Putnam County is not just in our office filing claims. We also get out in the community and impact them in their homes. If you'll notice, there's been 104 home visits or hospice visits. I would include in that hospital visits, because I know within the last month, Richard's been to Gainesville twice. I've been to Interlochen 3 times for home visits. So that happens on a regular basis. So now that some of what we do is not just in our office, it's out meeting the veterans where they are. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, why would you go to a veteran's home? 2 things happen with that. One, a veteran may start the claims process and then his health or her health deteriorate and they're not able to get out. And so it's then necessary for us to go to their home, to get them to sign papers, and to finish the process to file the claim on their behalf. Or they're homebound to begin with, and a neighbor or a loved one says, hey, can you come out, pay a visit, and see if there's anything you can do to help? So those are the 2 ways we have to get into homes, get out of the office, and that's really across the county too, where we make those visits. If you'll notice down at the bottom, 1,047 claims processed. A claim can be anything from a service-connected compensation, combat-connected compensation, wounded, injured while in battle. They've been out for several years, and now that injury is causing problems. And so we process claims like that to help connect their current problem with what happened to them in combat. Service connected would be an example. I was in the Army and I fell off a tank and hurt my shoulder. Well, when I was 22, that didn't bother me, but now that I'm 55, I've got arthritis, bursitis, and all the itis sisters and brothers, right? And so we need to help that out a little. And so we go back and we try to service connect that. And that process is pretty extensive. It's not done in 5 minutes. The average claim, if a veteran walks in with all the elements needed to file a claim, it's probably a 40 to 45 minute process of filling out information, trying to connect the dots, making sure all of our documentation is correct, and make sure that goes on. If you'll look over on the second page, or my second page, where we have veteran data, and I think what's interesting to note is the estimated money that we bring into the county back in 13 to 14, there was about $21 million that we brought in. That number stayed pretty solid until the 16-17 numbers came out, and it dropped a little bit. And it's dropped not because we're not doing our job, it's just because our veteran population's dying. The World War II population is almost gone. There's not many that come in our office anymore. The Vietnam era veterans, and this is something we don't think about because a lot of us in this room remember aspects of Vietnam. The Vietnam population is dying. Many of those folks are now well into their 70s, and the injuries and the diseases that came from the Vietnam War are just now really truly being acknowledged. There is another issue for those who were Marines. There's a Camp Lejeune water disorder that has now become, or disease process that's become very well documented. A lot of Marines who were in Camp Lejeune during a certain period of time are starting to suffer from debilitating and deadly diseases. So we are seeing some ebb and flow to that veteran population. But Putnam County still remains strong in our veteran population. If you look down, we give you a note that the Florida Association of Community Health says we have about 7,200 veterans. The Florida Department of Veteran Affairs says right at 7,000. So we're a little over 7,000 veterans in our community, in our county. Now, what are the things that we do, just to orient you real quickly to what we do? Well, we assist veterans and spouses and children in filing for VA benefits and claims. A lot of different things people can file for. Again, the process isn't simple. We handle a lot of sensitive material. We have to be certified by the Veterans Administration nationally, as well as the Florida Department of Veteran Administration in the state, to handle and process these claims. We have access to banking account information, Social Security, all types of HIPAA data, medical data that's protected by HIPAA laws. So, when you come to our office to visit, there's a room back there that's locked. It's locked because that's where those files are kept. And that's where a lot of that sensitive information is that we have to have custodial responsibility over. Some of the other things that we do, other than filing for service-connected claims as well as non-service-connected claims, we help with general information. What benefits may or may not be available? How do we get tax exemption on our land? How do we do that? That's a process. We help them with that. How about our educational benefits? How do we access educational benefits and apply that? When veterans find themselves in need of nursing home care or care at home or even hospice care, we help with what's called aid in attendance. That's a process where they can file for extra help if they were serving in combat at some point or during a combat time, wartime, some point in their life. We file legal briefs and papers. A lot of what we write is used in court proceedings. If a veteran files a claim and the claim is denied, they have the option to appeal that claim. Once that claim goes into appeal, there has to be a legal document or documents associated with that claim. We write those appeals. We can write those appeals and we can represent those veterans all the way up to the U.S. Court of Veteran Appeals in Washington, D.C. If a claim elevates to that level, then they're going to have to retain an attorney. We are not qualified to appear at that level. So we represent and write those appeals up to that level. A Form 9, which is sort of the big appeal, probably more information than you want, is probably an 8 to 10 hour process depending on the research that's needed. Because what we have to do is look at VA law, find out where they misapplied it, find out what we disagree with. We have to find what's called legally new and compelling evidence. We have to merge that together, and then we have to present that in a document called a Form 9. And so this is what we do on a daily basis for your veterans here in Putnam County. Any questions?
Thank you, Terry. Any questions? Comments? No, Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you. I don't have any, thank you for what you do for us. Here's somebody that needs your help that contacted me at the grocery store yesterday. I told him I'd see you today. So, I didn't want to mention their name publicly.
No, please, yeah, because that's confidential too.
Yep.
I'd just like to say you guys are doing a great job. I know I've been in there myself at one point, and were able to help me. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Okay, Administrator Suggs?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, first of all, thank you, Terry.
Yes, sir.
Excellent presentation. This is another example of an excellent department working for the citizens of Putnam County. As a son of a World War II 100% disabled veteran and a brother who served in Vietnam, it's a tremendous service that you provide not only to the citizens of Putnam County, but those that you come in contact with. This is why it's also important that each time we meet with our state and federal folks that we need to continue to push the agenda for getting those social services back to Putnam County.
Yes.
For just exactly this reason right here. We serve so many folks with a basic need here in Putnam County that I think it's very germane to us to keep pushing that agenda. But just once again, Terry, thank you again for the presentation. And thank Richard for putting that together.
Yes, I
and
will.
tell him we hope he feels better.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much, Terry. Okay, now we'll move to agenda item D. Animal Services. We'll ask Lisa Suarez to come forward and update us on the grant for the cat condominiums.
dogs getting left out.
Morning.
We're here to talk about the PetSmart Charities grant that we got for the cat condos and the new litter pans that we got. Compliments, again, of PetSmart Charities. The grant was applied for probably the end of May, and first part of June, we were notified and we were awarded the $28,117 in the grant funds for the PetSmart Charities. The grant was used to purchase cat housing with portals and stainless steel litter pans. Having this grant has increased the cat capacity for the shelter. What are the cat condos? The cat condos are rain tree cat condos, beautiful, durable, high-quality pieces of furniture with amenities designed especially to pamper our finicky felines. Each condo consists of a top and bottom unit with coated wire mesh doors and a healthy air circulation. This is what they look like. They're 84 feet tall, 24 feet wide, or inches wide, and 24 deep. Much, much bigger than what they're used to. If you'll see in the pictures, they have the top shelving, which is normally where they would hang out. The middle shelving is where we would put their food or water. And then in the hole on the side, you'll see in the third picture to the right is where we would put their litter pan. So they have a privacy kind of separated area for their litter to where their food and their housing is. We also have an option to where we can open the portal holes and we can have multiple cats. So if we have a mother with her kittens, or we have a community of cats that get along together, we can open those portals and they have a luxury condo. The condos came shipped completely assembled and were loaded with the help of Waste Pro staff, and the Sheriff's Office inmate crew came out and helped us. They came in a big, large truck very early in the morning, and we were lucky to have their help to bring it in and set them up into the room. The new condos are an amazing upgrade from the old outdated cat kennels. You'll see the pictures on the left are the new ones, and the old ones are the stainless steel. I mean, we're still going to use those, and they're still, we're still capable of using them. And the one on the far right, we can actually also use them for our smaller dog breeds rather than keeping them in the big giant kennels. We would like to thank PetSmart Charities, of course, Putnam County Board of County Commissioners, the Putnam County Sheriff's Office inmate crew, Waste Pro, and of course a special thanks to Robert Pierce and Becky Cummings, and they're the ones that submitted for the grant. By having this, it has increased an additional 18 spaces for cats. So now we have a total of 50 houses for cats.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Any questions or comments? You want to make the comment about the dogs?
Yeah, the dogs seem to be left out in the condo apartment thing here, but I guess that's coming, right?
They got
Yes.
mobile homes.
The grant was just for the cats.
I got you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. With this addition, they sure look a lot nicer than the old pens, I guess you would keep them in. And I just want to make a comment. Thank you for your efforts and your staff in animal control. And it's just really hard to, you know, for you not to have the Sheriff's Office involved and Waste Pro. They just do a great job supporting all of our departments to come to aid to where they can help you. So I just want to thank
Yes.
the Sheriff's Department and Waste Pro and PetSmart for their participation in this. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move to public comment, I'd like to ask Sheriff Gator DeRoach and Joe Wells to come forward just for a minute, just to speak about their award, the reaccreditation that they received last week. I think it's just a great honor, and it just shows the commitment of our Sheriff's Office and the excellent leadership and staff that we have. So, Gator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. So recently, we were over in St. Augustine at the meeting for the Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, and I'm pleased to announce that our agency was awarded not only our reaccreditation, but Excelsior status for maintaining our accreditation since 2003. And just to give you a little background on the process, the Florida Commission for Accreditation is an independent governing body that accredits law enforcement agencies throughout the state of Florida in partnership with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, who oversees the program for them. And essentially what accreditation is a mechanism of checks and balances for us to ensure that we're providing excellence in law enforcement to our citizens and those that we serve here within the county. There are approximately 400 law enforcement agencies in the state of Florida, and of those, I believe just under 200 actually have been accredited and recognized as law enforcement agencies by this accrediting body. There are in excess of 250 standards that assessors actually examine and make sure that we're in compliance with whenever they come and do an on-site assessment. Commissioner Pickens, Mr. Chairman, you and I were talking just before the meeting, and while it's a daunting task to get accredited, the more difficult task is staying accredited, because during that initial accreditation cycle, you only have to show compliance for 1 year with all of those 200 plus standards. In subsequent years, you're required to keep and show compliance or proof of compliance with all of those standards for a 3-year period before the team comes back and does their reassessment. I'm pleased to say that we have been an accredited agency since 2003, and in 2015 we're awarded Excelsior status for maintaining that accreditation status, and we're just re-awarded Excelsior status again during this most recent meeting of the commission.
Congratulations. I think they deserve a round.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I would just like to add that this is certainly a representation of the excellence and service that our employees provide on a daily basis. And had it not been for the dedication of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, and specifically one of the unsung heroes, our accreditation manager, Ms. Kim Dawson, this would not have been possible. So all thanks go to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to our public comment portion of this meeting. Public comment is allowed to allow citizens to bring matters to the attention of the board. It's not reasonable to expect the board members will engage in debate or deliberation on matters in which the board has no previous knowledge. We would like for you to fill out a blue card. They're available at the entrance and the exit of our building. And if you'll present those cards to Sarah, she will present them here. And so for our first public comment, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you'll come to the podium and speak loud, speak clearly, and state your name and address for the record. And we'll start with Mr. Douglas Hayes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll try to be brief. You know that's difficult for me. But anyway, in regards to the landfill as a topic, I would like to offer a suggestion, because I've been led to believe that we have some financial issues, is to, one, we have wetlands at the landfill, is to set up our own wetlands mitigation bank. That gives an opportunity as a funding mechanism, along with that when we want to negotiate with developers, we can negotiate credits towards the wetlands that they may have to disturb in order to develop. That may be a revenue draw for us. The second thing is the Department of Environmental Protection has a brownfield cleanup program that's complete with training and grants. And one of the things would be labor costs of pushing the trash around, and that we might be able to set up an educational facility out at the landfill, and the people that are getting the training for brownfield cleanups could get their OJT moving the trash. That might keep our labor costs down. Also, we have brownfields in Putnam County. We have, I believe, 102 polluted areas, and I believe it's either 2 or 3 actual brownfields and maybe 1 super cleanup or whatever they call it. And most of those are grant funded. So one of the things we'd be able to do is train these individuals, and it's also geared towards the poor and that population. And so those individuals could receive the training, do cleanups in Putnam County, and then be able to be sent out to other states and counties and generate a revenue of between $15 and $18 an hour based on what they're doing. It might be a step up for the citizens, along with a benefit to the operations of the landfill. The second topic is animal control, and this is a personal grievance. I had applied for the supervisor of animal control position, along with that there, at the time of application, there was a dog catcher and kennel cleaner. I was willing to do any one of the 3. I filled out the paper application. It magically got lost for a little bit, but apparently it was on the supervisor of human resources all along. And the positions have been filled, and I've never been granted an opportunity for an interview. I realized the supervisor position, the prerequisite would have been probably experience as the dog catcher and animal control officer. But if you have similar background and knowledge, that you could be considered. I've had the opportunity to cater and husbandry of 37 different species of animals. You know that I do pretty well with dogs. And one of the things was that upon my employment, I would have tried to get my certified dog trainer license certificate so that I could be a benefit to the prison program and help educate people in training their dogs. I'm willing still to do kennel cleaning to work my way up, and the positions were filled while my application was in limbo. That's my grievance. I'll be waiting for the next opening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hayes. Our next speaker is Ms. Brenda Price.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I live in the Sunny Heights area at 113 Tropic Lane, Palatka. This is a densely populated community at the end of South Palm Avenue. I come to you today because of the problem of continuous trash dumping in this community. The dumping is occurring on mostly on our road right-of-ways. I come to you not only because of that, but because of the inability to get these sites cleaned up in a timely manner, and the inability to stop the violators who dump on our right-of-ways. These sites include yard trash, tree limbs, tree trunks, piles of loose leaves that fill our ditches, demolition debris, construction material, tires, and other items that are not appropriate for waste management pickup. I report these sites to the Code Enforcement Office, Putnam County Public Works, and sometimes to the Sheriff's Office. And that's in search of trying to find somebody who can help us get it cleaned up. Although we depend on these departments to get these sites cleaned up, the process is slow and sometimes ignored by the people who are violating. In 2017, 28 code violation citations were issued by the code department in our neighborhood in an effort to clean up the unsafe, unsightly sites. With that effort and the post-hurricane trash removal, the roadways were cleaned up. But by 2018, February 2018, we again had many piles of trash accumulated on the sides of our roads. From February to October 2018, this trash continued to lay on our roadsides. In October, with the help of the Code Enforcement Office and the County Public Works Office, these piles were removed. Now, again, in February 2018, there are many piles of trash, again, in the same sites. Efforts to keep our roadsides safe and clean seem useless unless there is something done about the people who continuously dump their trash on the roadside. We have road right-of-ways for a reason, primarily for safety and maintenance. A few days ago, a neighbor's child stepped on a nail that was in material that had spilled into the highway on Druid Street from a trash site that contains construction debris. Overgrown right-of-ways have also been a problem, and last summer when the county mowers came into our neighborhood to mow, there were sites that they could not mow because of this trash. It is not safe for mowing to be done where trash has been overgrown and cannot be seen. We have 2 school bus stops in our neighborhood, and the children cannot use the right-of-ways because of this trash buildup, and have to go to and from the bus stops walking in the highway. I'm asking today for cleanup of these unsafe and unsightly sites, but I'm also asking for something to be done to stop the people who are dumping, chronically dumping. Because of that, if that is not done, if these people aren't stopped from dumping, our problem's going to continue. And I appreciate any of your help that you can help us with in our neighborhood. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Brenda. I know that this is a county-wide issue, and I have had, as a commissioner, success by talking to or calling sanitation department and even public works, and then the sheriff's department has a agricultural sheriff. I believe is it Donnie Jordan? Is that correct? And they have done a good job. So those 3 resources. Larry Gask is to your left, to your right, sanitation, and then the red shirt back there is Press Tompkins with Public Works, so you may want to get some contact information from them. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, okay.
All right, any comments?
I drove down after you called me last week and went down Druid Street, and she's absolutely correct. There's, the offenders are obvious. I think this is, in my opinion, more of a code case where somebody needs to go knock on the doors and tell them to stop. There was actually a skid steer with a grapple full of material. They were loading, looked like, I don't know if they're cutting trees off their property or bringing it in from their property and putting on the right-of-way, but it's encroaching on the road itself and does seem to be an issue in that neighborhood.
It does. It encroaches, and they are bringing in from not just their personal yard.
It looks like they're running a service, and we're hauling off and paying for that.
They do. They do. This weekend, I took pictures. I have them if you want to see them, of trash that's been dumped in our neighborhood, and 17 sites in this, not even hardly a mile that you can drive through our neighborhood. 17 sites, and that's happened in 2000. Well, it has happened for years, but we have been trying hard to do something about it in 2017, 2018, and now again in 2019, and it's almost useless because as soon as it gets cleaned up, they're not out of sight before dumping occurs again.
Okay, all right, well, Ms. Brenda, Would she need to get, would Mr. Siafi?
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Okay, all right,
I'll take that one.
okay.
Our code enforcement officer will be out there either today or tomorrow. And we'll
Mr.
look at-
Siafi, could you raise your hand so she can see him right there?
We will certainly take a look at this area. If they're bringing off-site debris back, we'll certainly address that as well. We may find is there's renters out there that the homeowners aren't aware of it, but we'll deal with that as well. But we'll get someone out there this week for you.
Okay,
Absolutely. My name's Terry. If you need anything, just give me a call.
all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Brenda.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, next speaker, Johnny Counts and Tom Deputy.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good to see y'all here. My name is Johnny Counts. I'm from Cracker Swamp, Florida. And, of course, this is the infamous Tom Deputy, so he is from all over. Before I get started with what I'm here for, I'd like to address the proclamation that y'all did today. That's a wonderful proclamation. I am definitely all for agriculture. It is a part of our family heritage, and it's very important for all of us. I like to eat. Something that came to mind, and I love my neighbors that came and presented that, and keep that on the up and up. But it will not be doubted that with reference either to individual or national welfare, agriculture is of primary importance in proportion as nations advance in population and other circumstances of maturity. This truth becomes more apparent and renders the cultivation of the soil more and more an object of public patronage. Institutions for promoting it to grow up, supported by the public purse, and what object it can be dedicated with in any greater propriety. That was George Washington's 8th annual address, speaking about how important agriculture is to our welfare as a nation and as a society. And of course, the famous quote that we like to tout with the FFA is agriculture is our wisest pursuit because it will in the end contribute to the most real wealth, good morals, and happiness. And that was Thomas Jefferson that said that. So thank y'all for taking such a interest in agriculture. We need it. It's a part of, it is a big part of the reason Putnam County is here, and the growth that it's sustained. And I'll reiterate too that agricultural and industry can grow together. So keep that in mind when we talk about how fast 207 is fixing to be moving on. The reason I'm here is I want to present the Grit Foundation organization publicly to the County Commission. I am currently a board member along with Tom Deputy. The Grit Foundation is less than a year old, and it is, of course, it's to support our first responders and our hometown heroes. It is a idea of Matt Harrison and Kat Kamek. Matt is a firefighter in Alachua County, and of course Kat is Representative Yoho's deputy director. But they've been putting this together, and we now have 7 counties that have affiliation agreements with us. Putnam County Sheriff's Office has just signed an affiliation agreement, and we are currently working with them to help out with some needs that they immediately gave to us. And just wanted to have y'all know about the Grit Foundation. I've been trying to get the word out. You can go to thegritfoundation.org, the website, or they're on Facebook and Instagram. But it is a way for us to, as a community, be able to support directly our first responders. We'll be able to, as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, with all voluntary members. None of us are paid on this board. So everything we do goes directly to what we can do to help. We have many vendors. We have many organizations that are donating their services. And as you can see on some of these, we have, especially we can get help with training, we can get help with equipment, canine partnerships. Some of those we can start placing with our veterans. I just spoke to Terry on the way out, told him we need to get together on this, service dogs for them and for training for our police and equipment for our firefighters. So it is something that I hope that the community can support, because Sheriff Daniels in Clay County made the statement that this is basically their official charity. They have affiliation agreement, and this is a way we work directly with them. There's no appearance of impropriety when you're dealing with the bureaucracy of having to deal with government organizations and those kind of things. So the community can get directly involved with us and be directly involved with our community. And I hope that these businesses will be able to get on board and see if we can't foster some of that neighborly charity and love that Putnam County is famous for, because I don't know of any other poorest county in the state that gives as much as this county does when you look at the charities that we have and how much comes in from them. So anyway, with that, I have any questions?
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner Ross?
Will each area have their own group? Like, will there be one in Putnam County specifically for Putnam County?
We are, that's the way the board members are set up. Each county has their own board members. Right now, it's just me and Tom. This is, it took us, we're literally just getting started. The first 6-8 months, we were getting bylaws and everything. Just had our first fundraiser in January, and you can go and see that fundraiser in its entirety. The remarks that Representative Yoho made about how, the firefighters with the carcinogens, the cancer rates, the things that are going on, the equipment they need to do that. And not only that, we've also got the education, the grants that we're going to be giving to help people go to school for being paramedics or being law enforcement, and the counseling too. We have services for that. This is getting to be a huge problem. You see it in the news every day. I just saw another one last night. It is unbelievable the amount of wonderful people who serve us that are suffering from things that we just don't see, that we need to give them all the help we can. And it's tough to do, as you know, as a government, but as individuals and as caring people and as brothers and sisters in the community, I think we can come together and be able to make a difference that will create a closer environment, and you get to know these people that do this for us, because there is a wall there that we don't really understand what goes on publicly. We don't understand what goes on behind the scenes until after things have happened. And I think this is a way to get more people involved in it.
I can tell you, back when Tom and I worked at the fire department, we had that fire downtown at Woodall's place. It was amazing the amount of people that showed up to help support the fire department. We were there for, it was probably 10, 12 hours, and they brought us water and food and relief. And it sounds like this is what you guys have formally organized.
Well, this is a way that we're a one-stop. If we can get the word out, the public can come directly to us. Everything that comes to us is going to go to, and I don't know how we're going to be able to keep up with everything we do locally if everything's going to go here. But with 7 counties, we have Clay, we have Union, Bradford, Gilchrist, Alachua, and Putnam, of course, and Marion. We can co-op with these others. There might be some things that we can be able to do that you can't. Well, of course, you know how it works. They can give to us, we can give to them, and then you don't have all this, appearance of impropriety going on. And hopefully it's a way that we can bridge this gap and take that bureaucracy wall out of the way, and everybody can be back helping the community and being able to just do what we need to do. help one another and yeah, increase the resources and our times, efficiency of our resources. And well, we have a meeting tonight in Gainesville, our board meeting, and we're working on a couple of projects now. Sheriff DeLoach and Joe Wells have asked for their most immediate needs, and that's going to be part of what we're going to be working on tonight. And it's from a vendor that will help with their website to bring it up to date for the ADA, American Disabilities Act, but it's also going to be able to help them interact better, be able to do, the public can interact better, things like that. And they can elaborate on that if they want to you, but it's that's going to be a big benefit from them instantly that we can bring to it. So thank you for your time, and please go on the website. Anyone can donate. Everything's right there. You can donate online, and go to your local fire stations. Go to your local. I've seen the ads being put out there. People can do a little bit of anything to help them out. Bring them some cases of water. Just go by and get to know them. Bring them some brownies. I know them firemen like brownies.
Okay.
Two things, Johnny.
All right.
Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much for your service. You do a lot for this community. For the people that don't know Johnny and what he does, he is a terrific individual. And if you ever want to square off with somebody about the Constitution, I highly recommend you start with him. And, number two, don't make yourself bashful. Come see Palaca Sunrise Rotary one morning and do a presentation.
Yes, sir, I love to, but I have to work to support my charity habit, so. But I will get there one day. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Johnny.
Johnny, and thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, next speaker, Mr. Ed Killebrew.
Good morning. My name's Ed Killebrew. I live at 146 Borden Estate Circle. I just wanted to do a little bit of bragging this morning. I was, I live in the community of Borden, and a lot of times Borden and Mr. Rawls just chuckled at me when I said that. We get a raw shake every now and then. But I just wanted to brag on the citizens of Borden. This past weekend, Keep Putnam Beautiful came out. A couple has, volunteered to sponsor the cleanup of Bannerville Road. And when I got there, I was kind of shocked. There was like 30, 35 people there. I mean, I was willing to go help, and I didn't think we'd have a turnout. And those people got out there and they cleaned that road. And like I said, I just wanted to number one, Christine, Mitchell?
Mitchell.
Yes, just wanted to, y'all have I think that she's under y'all correctly in Putnam County as the leader of Keeping Putnam Beautiful. She's awesome. She kept the troops rolling, kept bags in people's hands, kept things under control. Matter of fact, I hate to say this in my community, but somebody found a box in a pipe in the grate up underneath the road there that had an active heroin thing going on in it. It had the needles in it and everything like that. Sheriff DeLoach troops, when we called them, they rolled right up and got that from us. But that was found out that's where somebody was hiding some heroin. So that some other good things came out of it. But they picked up so much. They picked up probably 12 tires. They stacked up so much garbage. It was to the bottom of the sponsorship sign. And I was just proud of the members of Putnam County. Also, I wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Goddard and Harvey. I know that I think y'all picked up, 33,000 pounds of trash this weekend at a dump site. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. But
It was 33,000 pounds. But
I thought that's what she had said. Anyhow. Okay. Let's just put the big S on your chest this morning, okay? But I kind of felt bad coming up here behind the lady that's, talking about the trash in her neighborhood. But, the citizens of Putnam County, I am proud of. They are they're awesome. We get the brunt of so many jokes. But I was just sitting back there thinking about that I just wanted to bring that forward in front of y'all this morning. they got out there, and I mean, we worked for probably 3.5 hours to clean up the areas that we cleaned up, and it was just amazing at the trash that we picked up. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
By the way, Mr. Chairman, Chris Mitchell, actually, a sign fell on her elbow out there in Barden, and she needs our prayers because she really hurt herself pretty bad. So she came yesterday in a sling. So remember that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for y'all's efforts yesterday. If you've never participated in one of the countywide cleanups, I suggest you put it on your bucket list because you probably won't want to do it again. But it's just absolutely amazing what ends up on the side of the roads, and it needs to be picked up. So thank you, Ed. Any more public comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment portion of this meeting. And I know we have a 10 o'clock litigation. Do we need to move to that, or can we?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, at this point, ask that you recess the BOCC meeting so we can go into the executive session. It's been advertised for 10. And that is going to be held over in the large conference room. Once the executive session is concluded, then we'll come back in here and you can reconvene the regular BOCC meeting, please.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could we have a 3-minute, 29-second recess in between these two meetings here?
Okay, we're going to recess the meeting to go in executive session, but before we do that, we will take a 3-minute and 29.5-second break.
Oh, I love it.
See what
seats. We're going to reconvene the meeting in about a minute.
Yes, it is.
Done with this.
Amazon.com. Amazon.com.
There you go.
Been there before.
You resemble that remark.
Sarah, you ready? Okay. I'd like to reconvene the regular Board of County Commission meeting at 10:58. Thank you for everybody's patience in our absence. And I'd like to, before we get to the consent agenda, just go ahead and move to item number 7 to address the executive session. So I'll turn it over to our legal counsel, Stacy Manning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, the Board of County Commissioners did just have an executive session on the matter of Price versus Putnam County. This is a ADA accessibility claim based upon documents on the county's website. I, at this point, would request a motion action by the board authorizing Mr. Murray, the attorney for our insurance carrier, to move forward with settlement negotiations with the plaintiff's attorney in an amount as indicated in the executive session and containing commitments on behalf of the county regarding compliance with its compliance with all of its websites.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a proper motion by Commissioner Rawls and a proper second by Commissioner Harvey. Is there any discussion? We don't need any public comment on this, do we? We think? Okay. Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item number 7 passes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. Agenda item 4. Are there any items that commissioners wish to pull? And I'll start with Commissioner Harvey to my left.
Mr. Chairman, item F, please.
Okay, Commissioner Turner,
Item E.
Commissioner Rawls,
Item G.
and Commissioner Goddard.
I have none.
Okay, and I have none. So the chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the agenda items that have not been pulled, which would be A, B, C, D, H, I, J, and the addendum of item K.
So moved,
Correct.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a proper motion to accept those agenda items from Commissioner Harvey with a second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. So we'll move to agenda item E, and Commissioner Turner.
Yes, I just had one question on this. I understand with the addition of the money that was needed to be added after it was bid, and the bids came in higher than the money that was already previously budgeted by the grant. For the amount, let's see, 43, page 43. With 153, 312, 68 over, and it says it's coming from the general fund reserves. Who made that decision that it came from general fund instead of from Better Place Plan fund monies?
That would have been an administrative decision, sir.
Okay.
So we're more than welcome to talk to you folks about it here today. Based on the last few conversations we've had and workshops and meetings, it was, we had pretty much got direction that Better Place Funds was, was the last resort. And we do have money in the general fund reserve, so we brought it forward using the general fund. But if you'd like to change that today, we're certainly welcome to entertain that thought.
I don't know that it was going to be a last resort. I think that, personally, I think the comment that was made in the workshop that this was discussed was that we want to try to dedicate more of the Better Place to roads and repaving of roads as we've done in the past, but also critical infrastructure, I think, was part of that conversation. Well, this water service to East Palaca is definitely critical infrastructure, and it doesn't really matter a lot to me one way or the other. We're paying for it one way or the other, but it seems to me like that the conversation needed to be had that we can use Better Place monies for critical infrastructure also. So I just wanted to find out if the commission wanted to take this out of our general reserve, or did we want to take it out of Better Place with it being an infrastructure project that definitely is going to be worth more than 5 years. So I just wanted to open it for discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, Commissioner Harvey?
You know, I concur with Commissioner Turner. I think the Better Place plan would be a more appropriate place to take that money out of. It leverages $153,000, leveraging $1 million. So I think we'd be better off than leave our general fund reserves alone for the situations that we have been seeing that we needed here lately. Some of our roads have been deteriorating pretty bad. So I'm in support of that.
Okay. Any other comment?
I concur.
I agree also. Commissioner Turner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item E on the agenda with the change that the project be funded from Better Place revenues instead of from the general fund reserves.
Second.
Okay, we've got a proper motion by Commissioner Turner and a proper second by Commissioner Harvey. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda item E passes. Item F, Commissioner Harding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few questions, and I've spoken to our county administrator. They were kind of busy last week, and then he fell ill yesterday. But I would like to draw your attention to page 60, and only because I want to preface this by saying these are roads that are going to be resurfaced, and the repair should exceed 5 years. We need a lot longer than 5 years, and that's just kind of my opening comment there. I want to also draw your attention, and I've spoken to our administrator, page 62. The record needs to show that Commissioner Harvey did not remove Sasso Drive. It's not funny. It's 5 years old.
Yeah,
5 years I've been dealing with this road. 5 years, and you got an email stating that.
Yes.
So I did not remove that, but there was some consideration that needed to happen off of that. So I just wanted to clean that up. And then I want some explanation. When you go to page 63 and those pages on, we're talking about some roads, and just if you will, go to page 65, item 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, stops at 28. This is the MSTU road in the Interlochen Lake Estates that was done by the citizens out there who had established an additional ad valorem tax on themselves over 30 years ago to put this road in. A few years back, 3 years ago, not this board, but the previous board, approved the intersections there to be milled and to be resurfaced, okay? But if you've noticed, if you look at the other ones, most of the other roads are getting milling. And Press, you got to help me understand. We sit over there at transportation like we do today.
Yes, sir.
And we hear the preferred way to do this is to mill these roads. But you're talking about these roads that are over 30 years old that are going to get 1.5 inches of asphalt overlay, and that's it. No milling, no nothing. But roads that are a lot younger are getting milled. I took it to my administrator. I need some help in understanding how this happened this way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Press?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
All I can tell you is we did look at that. I got with my engineer on that. We normally do mill, even we do a mill half inch, but we looked at it. You were right about the intersections, and we understood that. I'm not gonna say we don't have milling on there. I need to check and see. I don't have the information right now in front of me. But, you know, we will do whatever is necessary on these roads. If they need milling, we can certainly do that. If they don't, then we don't need to put that. But we are resurfacing roads because, as you said, they are older roads. They scored within the range that they need to be resurfaced. And I will say this publicly, as far as Sasso Road, we did not really take it off the list. We postponed it. We could find the road repairs to be done, and then we'll go right back on the list to be resurfaced in the next cycle. But we all felt it was prudent that the road be fixed properly before we spent money resurfacing it.
I don't think it's the next cycle. I think Mr. Suggs is going to handle that.
Okay.
So, but I do want to say, tell me why though, if we're looking at the other millings, you think these roads just need an overlay?
I know that Felipe looked at them at length. He does a very good job looking at these roads and analyzing if they need to be milled or not milled and what the overlay needs to be done. I will certainly take a second look at it before it's done. But we do need to move forward with this resurfacing list. As you know, it's quite extensive this year.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question. I would have liked to known this at the transportation meeting and not in this meeting. And that's where I would have liked to seen us have that talk about milling, overlay, things in that nature. So could the next time we talk about this, could we talk about this more specifically in transportation at that time?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Turner?
I do remember talking about we did talk about this list in transportation, and I do remember talking about it, and I thought that we had discussed thoroughly the part to where would it be cheaper to overlay the existing roads along with the duration of the road lasting? Would it be cheaper considering the duration to mill up and then leave this intersections because they're a lot newer? Or would it be cheaper and a duration wise to do in between or to cover over top of them on the overall picture? And I think that's what you were gonna try to come up and let us know, you know, after that transportation meeting. And then I saw it on here today, and I know you're in a hurry to move it forward. So have you not had the ability or the time yet to maybe find out which is the better way to do it, to go ahead and go over top of the existing sections, and it would, with duration price-wise, or would it be cheaper to mill it? And because I think either way would probably work. It's just that if the milling may cost more than just go ahead and just going over the new intersections.
And I concur with, we did discuss that, and I know that I went back and we did look at it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we felt like the overlay would be sufficient. You know, we will get at least 15 years out of our overlays, our resurfacing, and we get 15 to 20 years, depending upon the use of the road, what it's used for. So I will recheck that again, but I know we did go back and we did discuss it in-house, and this is what was decided was the plan of action for those particular roads.
Well, I do remember discussing that about that the intersections were many years newer than the road itself, but I was thinking at that time, and I was certainly open to the conversation that would be had later on about was it cheaper? Because I don't think recovering, if the base is in decent condition, I don't think recovering is going to be any worse than milling and replacing. But the milling a lot of times costs more money, and so the only way that I thought it might be more cost advantageous to the county was because there were some areas at the intersections that wouldn't have to be done if we milled.
That is
what
correct.
I didn't know was if we went ahead and overlaid even those areas, would it be the same money or less than trying to mill in between the corners? If it is, then it might be better for the county to go on and recover the whole thing, the corners and all, instead of trying to mill if the base is good in between.
I believe that's what we came up with. I can't say 100%, but we looked at doing a continuous overlay so the road would have the appearance of being a brand-new road and not hodgepodge with asphalt, because as you know, as asphalt ages, it grays with the sun. So we were trying to get a uniform-looking road that would give us the service life we're looking for.
Well, the uniform road is definitely important, but then if it's 5 years old in the intersections, then 10 years from now, when it comes time to redo it, we're gonna be redoing the intersections again. So I guess just for my own information, I wanted to be sure that you felt like it was pretty close to cost comparable by bringing in a milling machine and then, or just doing the intersections over anyhow, and then you got one life of asphalt over the whole thing instead of having to redo the corners again in a few years. So,
I believe what we're doing is sufficient with the life cycle that we're trying to achieve on it.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Questions? Commissioner Rawls?
Do we have a citizens advisory committee for transportation? And are they taking up these issues and looking at means and methods, longevity of roads, milling versus non-milling? Because in some of the people I've talked to, if you mill the road, you get a better tack and less separation if you get water intrusion between the layers. And that's what's happening in and around Palatka is they've gone in and they've covered and not milled it. And we're starting to experience a lot of failure in roads in Palatka as a result of that. So my question is, are we allowing our citizens to have input as to how the roads are actually going to be repaired or maintained, and the cost versus longevity of it?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey?
Commissioner Rawls, I think the Transportation Committee started out with citizens on there. But looking at it the other day, we have no citizens on there right now. And, but we do have some that attend, but yeah, I don't think it's a formal group that actually advises the board on that.
I would think it might be advantageous for us to start looking to put citizens on this so they can have input. At our meeting last week regarding Drayton Island, there was a lot of commentary from the citizens. But I think it would be important that we started allowing the public to have some input and not just allowing the staff to come in and say, this is how we want to do it. The commission doesn't have the answers. Mr. Tompkins is not 100% sure. He's saying, I think, I'm pretty sure. So what I'm suggesting is that maybe in the future, we start getting some citizens' input and having a little more conversation as to what we're actually going to do before we put this on a consent agenda and vote on a $2.5 million package.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Turner?
You know, we might have put this on the consent agenda, and it's fine that we discuss it today. I got all that, but this isn't the first time we've seen it. And, you know, for Commissioner Rawls to say, you know, we stick it on a consent agenda with no public input, I know that I've seen this at least 3 times in transportation workshops, this paved list and what have you. So, you know, it's not like the first time we've ever seen it. If citizens want to have be part of this, I have no problem with that whatsoever. That if they want to, but right now we're having trouble finding volunteers that will serve on the committees. And you know, after we get done with the consent agenda, you'll see that we have numerous places that we need to have people that would love to be appointed to some of these committees and then serve. And so, you know, I know for a fact that Putnam County has, I had this one time, I may not have it now, but if you'll bear with me just a second. The county has 22 citizens committees right now, 10 MSBU committees, 15 staff and elected officials committees as of right now. So we already have 47 committees, and I'm not against any of them, not any of them at all. But what we need to do is try to figure out what committee we need to do with what, and not just every time we have something we're not sure about, we form another committee. That's what I think the 5 people that are up here today get paid to do, make some of these decisions. And we've got to rely on the professional people that we have working for us that can give us their best advice that they can give us at the time. If you're not going to trust your people, you're not going to go very far in life. I don't care if it's at the county or if it's in our private business or whatever. You have to trust the people that you rely on. You know, it would be fine if someone came in from the general public that had more letters after their name than he does, or that has more experience than he does, or whatever. But to let somebody come in that thinks we ought to mill instead of pave because they read a report somewhere that said they thought it was better, that's not as important to me as listening to the people that we have to depend on. So I just, you know, I have no problem at all coming up with additional committees or whatever if they're needed, or if the actual committees are going to give us some advice or something that's in addition to what we have. But to come up with a committee just because their opinion may be different than what our employees are, I don't know that I can get there, but I just felt like I needed to say that. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. Any other comments, Commissioner Rawls?
So, just for clarity, what I'm suggesting is that, and I'm the new guy on the board, and this might have come up 5 times in the past 6 months, but I haven't been here that long. I haven't heard this discussed 3 times since I've been on the board. What I haven't seen as well is definitive solutions. I've heard Larry talk about the MSBUs and the MSTUs out in West Putnam. I haven't heard that they were involved in any of this decision-making here. We're talking about spending $2.5 million of money, and I think before we do that in the future, when these lists come out, that we as the board, me as an individual, have more information presented. You know, I can go to Mr. Tompkins and I can tie up half of one of his work days, and he can explain to me how he came up with the answer, but it's still not going to tell me what I need to hear, which is why are we overlaying versus milling? I've never heard a conversation at the Transportation Committee meeting saying this is what it costs to do a 1/4 mile of one road each way, so I can weigh it out in my mind. That's all I'm saying. If there was originally citizens on the Transportation Committee, I think that we should have citizens back. The Transportation Committees happen for us at 2 o'clock in the afternoon once a month as a workshop. They're not televised, so maybe we need to start televising those so other people can listen. But I think we do need to have some citizens' input. And there probably are people out there in the community that have the alphabet soup behind their name. Mr. Billy that was in here the other day is a civil engineer. He's run large-scale projects. We do have people in the county that would have input, but until we actually start asking them to come to the table, we won't know.
Okay, press.
I would like to address that. We don't mill just for the sake of milling. There is a cost involved with milling. We do look at every road we look at, whether they need to be milled. The depth of milling needs to take place. You can mill anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1/4 to 2-3 inches. We look at the oxidation of the road, which is basically what the milling does, is takes away to the very top layer, which is oxidized, okay? It still has a structural capacity to it. I don't believe in milling just for the sake of milling. That has been a DOT standard for the last 50 years. Mill and resurface, mill and resurface. You're throwing structure away. So we do look at that. We do consult with our asphalt people. We get their opinion on it. They'll tell you, you don't need to mill that road. It's in good enough shape. 1.5 overlay be more than sufficient for it. So we look at all aspects of it. We just don't go out there willy-nilly and say, well, every road we're going to mill 1.5 inches. Like I said, that's, to me, throwing structure away.
Press,
so we do look at it.
Didn't it help some whenever y'all changed from the old-time tack coat to the synthetic tack coat you're using now? Didn't that help on your adhesion from the new asphalt coat to the existing? Or
Well, it did, and we get, years ago, DOT got away from the old Marshall mixes, the S1, S3s. We're now using a Super Pave, which has a little bit better emulsion in it. We do use a environmentally friendly tack coat now, which does give us better adhesion. So we have progressed with the technology of the times, and we do this. We look at every aspect of what we can do to give the life cycle we're looking for the most economical price. And we've done that historically here at the county. We have very good continuing asphalt prices with these companies that bid it, which includes the tack coat, which includes the milling. And, you know, they'll recommend to us that, you know, you don't need to mill that road. A good 1.5-inch overlay, we always put a tack coat down, no matter what. We put a tack coat down between, even if we mill it, we put a tack coat down. So I think we do our due diligence. I know Felipe, my staff engineer, spends a good bit of time on asphalt work and stuff. And so I feel very confident in the recommendations he gives me on this. Yes, sometimes I don't know the 100% answer. I cover probably a lot of items with my staff every day. I know we have vetted this list out more than one time, and I feel very confident that the list we brought you is the most economical and life cycle that we need to do for the county.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move item F for approval.
I have one comment,
I'm sorry.
Press. I know in the scope of work, it mentions striping.
Yes, sir.
Where you want to make a comment on that? You know, because there's.
Well, what we did on this particular contract, we now have a continuing contract at Oglesby Striping. We've taken all the striping out, and we're going to do it under a continuing contract because it's actually a better price for us to do it that way. The asphalt contractor's in it to lay asphalt. That's their bread and butter. They sub out the striping to other companies. So rather than paying a 10 or 15% general contractor fee for them to hire a striper, we're going to hire a striper direct. There were several intersections or several areas that we felt it was more prudent for the asphalt person to provide the striping for that rather than us to do it with our contractor. And that's why you see some of the striping in that contract. But the rest of it we have taken out, and with the same monies. So we're not asking for any additional money, but we're actually able to save some monies and get striping done a little bit cheaper than we normally would have with the general contractor.
Okay, all right.
I have a question.
Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Press, historically, you've been against striping the minute they lay pavement down. Is that correct? I mean, you don't like to do that, correct?
No, DOT has a standard. What we generally do.
We kind of threw DOT out a minute ago. We're not
Well,
following
everybody,
their.
we default to DOT standards.
Okay.
Okay, what DOT says is, we usually put paint down right after it's hot, right after it's done. We always put paint down. The state requires you, and the thermo people, that to put the thermoplastic down requires a 28-day cure time of the asphalt. So we put temporary striping down with paint until we can go back and do the thermoplastic. Now, not every road we do has thermo. If we don't do the thermo, then we put one coat of paint down, we let it cure, and we come back and put the second coat down. But we don't let any asphalt go without the proper striping on it after it's laid.
So how long before when you put these roads in, resurface them, how long before you get your continuous service contractor to go out and spray?
He'll be out there right behind them, like they
Thank you.
normally would.
That's the question.
There's no
Thank you,
change
Mr.
in
Chairman.
sequence and no change in work product.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item F.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a proper motion on item F by Commissioner Harvey, a proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Item F moves forward.
Thank you very
Press.
much.
Okay, item G, Commissioner Rawls.
A couple of questions I had. Why would this not be presented to us by the TDC? I know that the TDC met to be able to answer questions on, and I'm looking at this one event, it brought up a lot of questions in my mind. We're paying a $60,000 host fee.
Yes, sir, that was budgeted last fall, that's correct.
Right, but in total here, there's probably upwards to $80,000 plus dollars. One of the questions I asked this morning was how much money do we raise through the bed tax, and it was $480,000. So this one event consumes 15%. I've heard numbers tossed around between $2 and $2.5 million of revenue brought in, and I'm still trying to. The answer that I've not heard yet is how do we derive the $2.5 million? Is it really $2.5 million of impact? And is there any way to quantify, I think when I was talking to Commissioner Harvey or Mr. Reynolds this morning, the bed tax is cyclical, and you can tell when there's a festival in town because it shoots up. So it's just I'm making some observations
Not about that item.
that we're spending in excess of $80,000, maybe $90,000 for one event, but there's nobody coming before this commission to discuss why we spent that much money or how it helped raise $2 million. Was there actually $2 million of revenue, not revenue, money spent that weekend? And just looking to quantify this. But there's no one here from the chamber, I know.
Right. No, I know that we had approved this, but they just didn't have the figures in place. But the TDC, I believe, approved this event with the deliverables to be given to us later, which we now have them because they have those figures. Is that the way I understand it?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is a housekeeping item for for staff here, administrative staff here, to go ahead and properly fund the event, paid for the bills and things of that nature for money that was already approved in the budget back in September. So this item here is merely housekeeping for staff to take care of the financial side of it. Any other information in regards to the breakdown of the actual event itself and the monetary impact to our community are questions that we would certainly need to address to the chamber. But this is housekeeping for staff.
Okay, thank you. And the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners automatically becomes the chairman of the TDC Council. We'll have our first meeting. It is, I believe, mid-end of their year. So I'll have some more information after we meet and hopefully be able to bring that back to the board or to a workshop.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
One more question if I could.
Mr. Ross?
Is this what we're going to spend it and then approve it later? Is conversation, or you said this was budgeted? Was this money already budgeted?
Yes, sir. This money was budgeted in a reserve account for these events.
Okay.
These events were not approved prior to. The chamber did not know that the Bassmasters League was going to award Putnam County the tournament. So there was money set aside in a reserve account to pay those host fees if and when the tournament come to Putnam County. So again, this is merely moving money from one fund to another to pay the bills.
I guess my biggest question is, why are we spending almost $100,000 to host them? That just seems strange to me that we're spending that much money. I know that they bring folks in. I guess I'd like to see that quantified, how much money was actually brought into the county at some point and how we come up with the $2 million number. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this concept of ESPN and the Bassmaster Elite program.
Okay. I'll see if I can get some more of that information after our meeting with the TDC.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Harvey?
When I was chairman of the TDC when I was chairman of the board, we put money away in that large event fund for these types of things that come up. What type of things? Who knows what they are until they come up, but they're called large event fund, and they do bring back revenue to the county, and there is a deliverable. What I mentioned to you this morning, Commissioner Rawls, was not in depth on these items that we talked about today, but just when you see that we have an event, you see a spike in our revenues on tourist development. And we've had that presentation right here before the board many times. And it's really exciting to see that you have a softball event, you see spike, you have a, baseball here at the college, you see a spike, you have a bass tournament, you see a spike. It's really exciting because it makes you want to do more events to keep that spike going. So, Mr. Chairman, you're going to learn a lot as you go onto this board, and it's going to be good. But I tell you, there's always should be a large event fund sitting there waiting for that large event when it comes, because you just don't know when it's going to come and when it's going to present itself, and then getting the economic impact of that event what does that look like for Putnam County? It's huge in some cases. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion?
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I move approval of item G.
Second.
Okay, we've got a proper approval by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Item number G passes. Okay, we'll move to item number 5, and in the absence of the Honorable Tim Smith, we have the Honorable Kenny Downs, Clerk of Court, Deputy Clerk of Court.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Smith, sorry he could not be here today. He's at a conference, a winter conference for the clerk. And so, other than that, we don't have anything. Besides, he's sorry he couldn't be here.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you for filling in for him. Okay, we'll go to item 6, appointments. Are there any appointments? We'll start with Commissioner Rawls to my right.
Yes, the at-large for the Parks and Recreation, I'd like to bring Robert Troiano up.
Okay, Parks and Recreation. Okay, that needs to be voted on, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a proper motion by Commissioner Rawls and a second by Commissioner Goddard. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Any others, Commissioner Rawls?
No, I have no of them in district.
Okay, Commissioner Goddard?
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey?
I have none, sir.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have an appointment for the District 3 Better Place Plan Oversight Committee, Jerry Sims, Jr.
Okay.
That's all I have today.
Okay, we don't need to vote on that one, correct?
No.
Okay, on the Greenbelt Advisory Committee, there's an at-large position. Larry Pridgett's term has expired. I know I can't make that motion, but I spoke with
Has anybody contacted him and asked him would he
I
serve?
spoke with him Saturday. You
Mr.
did too?
Chairman, I
You
move
okay
that
with
we
it?
appoint Larry Pritchett.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Turner. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Harvey. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, and I have none. And as we were speaking, the Better Place Oversight Committee, I appreciate that point. They are having trouble filling a quorum on those meetings. So if we could maybe get some suggestions to fill those other positions, so. Okay, County Administrator, Terry Suggs,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Turner.
Sorry.
I think it would be a good time to say something. Commissioner Rawls made a comment earlier, and I totally agree with him, that we need to start looking at these committees, and we need to set up some type of a absentee policy if there isn't already one on those committees. If someone is gonna serve on a committee and they never show up, we need to have the ability to remove those people from that committee and put somebody on that cares enough about being there. Now, I understand you can't get to every meeting every day, but when you don't show up but for one meeting, and there's a meeting every month and you show up for one in a year, that's not acceptable. So, I think part of this would be if we could look at the different committees and the absentee programs on the different committees perhaps, and try to develop ones for some of the committees we don't have absentee programs for, or attendance programs, and maybe we could do something about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I know I've spoken to County Administrator Suggs about that, and I think he's working on that, so.
Good point.
Okay, Administrator Suggs?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of items this morning. First of all, I want to just say that I spoke with the chairman last week, a couple weeks ago, and we're going to try to host our workshops in here. I've got with IT, and we're going to try to set the room up immediately following this meeting today. We'll have probably a table or two and some chairs set up just for the commission and staff. audience can join us just like they normally do in here. And so we'll try to get that done. I am going to go ahead and IT knows about it, so they'll try to set us up some audio and visual on that as well. The room the last few meetings has been pretty packed. Went to the chairman. He's gracious enough to let's give this a shot and see how it works. Second item is you're right, Commissioner Turner. When the item this morning on the agenda, the staff, as administrator, made a recommendation to use funds out of general fund reserves as opposed to BPP. Once again, that's certainly was nothing more than a recommendation of staff to the Board of County Commissioners. If we hadn't have done that today, we'd have waited 2 more weeks to bring it to the commission. It took all of about 30 seconds for you fine folks to make a decision on that this morning, so I applaud you for that. And you're absolutely right. Just clarification. We make recommendation in U5 set policy. We get that absolutely. And as far as committees, I've worked and talked with Commissioner Rawls about this a couple times, and you know, having citizen advisory boards is a wonderful thing. Again, I think what we need to do if we're going to go in that direction is they need to have some subject matter knowledge so that we have folks that can actually make some recommendations that actually have some validity to it. And my last thing this morning is that I appreciate y'all's patience with me as I'm battling this bug, but I want to recognize somebody here today, Mr. Matt Reynolds, our Deputy County Administrator. Matt doesn't know I'm going to do this, so it's probably going to embarrass him. But as you all know, Matt is fixing to join the ranks of many of us this coming Saturday. And, you know, he's marrying a absolutely wonderful, beautiful woman in Carrie Hawkins. And Matt is not only my county deputy administrator, but he's also one of my best friends. And I just want to wish Matt and Carrie much happiness in their future endeavor, and know that he's getting a very good partner in life, as well as Carrie is as well with Matt. And I wish them nothing but great success. And Matt, we're all here for you. And so congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Administrator Suggs. County Attorney Stacy Manning.
I don't have anything further, thank you.
Okay. All right, Commissioner comments?
Mr. Chairman, I am so sorry. I did have one more that I failed to write down this morning, and thank you, Commissioner Harvey, for reminding me. At the last workshop, it was given direction to look at our insurance RFP to see if it was required for us to go out for an RFP or not for our look to see if we could go self-insured. And based on conversation that we've had, we went back and looked at our history, and I think it would be the best route to take is to go for an RFP. We've already contacted our consultant in the Bailey Group. They're ready to go. So with the blessing of the commission here today and the recommendation that we've had in the past, we're going to go ahead and move forward with that RFP and go ahead and let that as soon as we can and get some information back so we can have a decision to make prior to our budget workshops coming up. So just that was the information that we went and got.
Commissioner Turner?
One thing, our agent of record is not changing, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so now that the consultant, what we hired the consultant to pretty much do has been done except for this RFP part, would it be appropriate for us to get our agent of record involved in this at this time along with the consultant to make sure that we go in the proper direction, or is it too early for our agent of record to get back involved again, or where do we move from here? I mean, our consultant, I don't know that we hired them to take us all the way through RFP. We hired them to take us through the decision to find out did we need to go to RFP. So this is probably an additional thing over and above what we had already hired the Bailey Group to do. So, I mean, I don't know for a fact. I'm just assuming this because I don't think that we hired them to take us all the way through the RFP, because basically we didn't know we were going there. So how could you hire somebody to take you there? So should we get our agent of record involved at this point, or should we just continue on with the consultant? What should we do here?
We'll reach out and, first of all, yes, we did hire the Bailey Group to take us from A to Z, and that was including an RFP. It was a not to exceed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, value contract. And that was part of the agreement was an RFP if that was the route that the insurance committee and the Board of County Commissioners wanted to take. So I will reach out to the Bailey Group and see if that is appropriate at this time. If it is, we'll put the two together. But we are not looking to change our agent of record. We're just looking to go out and get the best cost scenario possible for the employees of Putnam County at this point. And so I'll reach out to both of them and see if that's appropriate at this time.
The best coverage we can find for the least amount of money.
You got it.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Okay, thank you, Administrator Suggs. Commissioner comments, I'll start to my right with Commissioner Goddard.
Well, you know me, I love being out in Putnam County. I've had an enjoyable visit. We went camping. We ran into some people from Canada that just love our community. They adored it. The other thing is we have the Azalea Festival coming up this weekend. Keep it on your radar that the Catfish Festival will be coming up here shortly. I'll be going down to help Mr. Pickens cut up some palm trees.
Swamp cabbage.
In the swamp is what
Yeah,
you
make swamp cabbage. But again, I just adore our county, and the Bassmasters was great. That was just a great showing for us. Overall, I just encourage people, go out and enjoy Putnam County. It's great. The things to see is just amazing. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Rawls?
I've got several things. Matt, to you, advice. If it doesn't kill you, do it or eat it. Happy wife, happy life. This past weekend, the Placa Sunrise Rotary hosted their annual Wild Game Feast. We had a terrific turnout, raised a lot of money for the community and for scholarships, and just want to thank all the folks that participated in that. Commissioner Pickens and Goddard were there working. Commissioner Harvey, I think he bailed on us for another fundraiser, but we had a great time. The Public Safety Committee, we met this month. Mr. Manning, was Judge Boatwright able to get with you on that?
No, sir, I have not heard from the
He's going to
judge.
get with you. One of our questions is, apparently the committee started off going down one road, and they feel like they've made a lot of progress there, but the conversation is now starting to shift towards workforce development, jobs, and housing, and with regards to the folks that are that they're trying to get out of the dependency problems. He was supposed to get with you and see if the committee can go in that direction, because we're looking for direction right now and what we're allowed to do or not allowed to do under the statute. Flora Home has an opening this weekend at 10 o'clock. This weekend is going to be a very busy schedule for everybody, but Flora Home's, they're rededicating their baseball field and having an opening. They've just redone the concession stands and set up a veterans, what would you call that, a monument or a memorial for the baseball field. So if anybody's available, that'll be at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. There's also going to be Palaca Sunrise Rotary's first annual Azalea Pickleball Tournament. And it sounds like it's going to be a pretty big event. They were hoping to get about 150 people to sign up. They ended up with about 220. So if you guys have the opportunity, if you've never seen pickleball played, it's going to be at the Palaca High School. And we're expected to be a pretty big event, and hopefully something that we do every year during the Azalea time. And then I wanted to see if I could get an answer to when we're going to start our budgeting. We had talked about having strategic planning sessions and days, and we're moving into March now, and there's been no conversation of budgets. Talking to some of the department heads, there's a lot of frustration on getting pay up for our employees, so we don't continue to lose employees to other counties.
You want me to address that now?
Yeah, if you would, please.
We are setting our budget schedule now. We held a CIP workshop with department heads yesterday. We will be sending out basically their budget spreadsheets for them at the end of this month. They're due to have them back to us by the end of March. We will then go through our budget workshops with all department heads and schedule our meetings with all the Board of County Commissioners. That usually will start sometime around May. So yes, that's right now is the schedule that is proposed.
No strategic planning sessions?
Well, the strategic planning session needs to happen, absolutely. But if we have reached out to a couple folks about doing strategic planning, it needs to be a dedicated several days worth of workshop, so we can make sure that we do it properly. It won't take effect. We wouldn't be able to get it in time to take effect for this particular budget cycle. So what we need to do is when we start holding our budget workshops with our commissioners, we need to start having some very direct conversation about projects, future goals, and things of that nature, so we can start moving towards that in our budgeting cycle. And then as soon as we get the opportunity to schedule some days, we'll do that and get our strategic plan here. The folks we talked to, it's going to be a very lengthy process. We haven't had one, so it's going to be a long few days to schedule with the 5 elected officials. But we definitely know about that and need to get that scheduled. But it wouldn't take effect this year for our budget. This is going to be a workshop where we sit down with each of our 5 elected officials and go through our budgets with our department heads and put together what we think is the appropriate budget for this coming fiscal year.
So is there any consideration in this year's budget, or is raising the employees' pay any priority right now? Or
I will tell you this, Commissioner Rawls, that it was a priority last year. It's always a priority. When we look across the board at the salary ranges for Putnam County employees, it's certainly a consideration. What we do is we're charged as administration as bringing a balanced budget back to the Board of County Commissioners. Last year, our goals were threefold. It was to lower the millage rate, balance the budget without the use of reserves, and increase reserves. And we were able to do that. We looked at the cost of supporting a 3 and a 5, 2, 3, 5% increase. I think we worked the numbers on last year. And in order to get us to where we needed to be last year, it just wasn't in the the budget. But that is certainly always a consideration. I, as the county administrator, have to look at these folks every single day and understand where they're at and their plight. When a family of 2 can't go out for a pizza and a movie without costing you $100, it's a little difficult. And we recognize that, but our charge last year like I said, was a three-goal agenda, and we got there. Now we need to start looking at what we can do for our staff, and hopefully maybe some insurance breaks will help us with that as well.
You done? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The dedication for Floor Homes Veterans Park and the thing is Saturday at 10. You also have an Azalea Festival Parade at 10 o'clock. Yeah. I will be there helping to set up, and then I plan on leaving that event really quickly and getting back to Floor Home. So I've asked Commissioner Goddard if he could handle the parade at that point. He's helped me before. That's how you get accustomed to doing it. You help me, and then I'll bail on you like you said I did. But I didn't really. My grill's still sitting over there. I had people there. I just had another commitment. We'll talk about the Azalea Festival as we get closer this weekend. If you want to all attend, that would be great. I do want to bring to everybody's mind right now. I sent you an email yesterday. Florida Association of Counties, our websites aren't working with theirs, and they're not getting them. So I've agreed to get all of them and then forward them out to all the commissioners, and I'm including Mr. Manning on them too. So don't respond to them with any comments. They're just for your information. But there's a couple House bills that are coming up that need our attention. And the Florida Association of Counties is having a day up in Tallahassee on the 27th for us to show our support of what we need to be doing at a local level. The higher number of bill or the lesser number of the bill, the more important it is to the state legislator. So House Bill 3 is a preemption of local regulations, which might sound really, really good, but as we know, with everything we do, even on our end, it has unintended consequences, okay? So basically, it would sunset anything in 2 years, any regulation. We would have to redo it. It would be very onerous on counties to be mandated by state government to fit one size fits all. Government closest to the people is the best government, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. But I think we need to be very alert to this preemption. We always get the preemption from Tallahassee with the called unfunded mandates, and that doesn't sit well with us. And sometimes we're even told what we need to do and we can't do. And the next one is the local tax referendum, House Bill 5, where it's going to require a supermajority of the governing body to pass. I'm not going to tell you that I really oppose all of that, but I think we should watch that very closely because, you know, when we learn about the segments in our society where 25% of the people are against everything no matter what, it would be hard for us to do anything positive if we have to have a 66 2/3 majority vote to pass anything. I think the will of the people is how we are governed. We get 50% plus one, and that's how we're put into office. And I think that that's a good thing. So keep your eyes on the House Bill 3 and House Bill 5. House Bill 3 doesn't have a Senate companion yet, but they're looking forward to it having one. And we're going to have to really keep an eye on those regulations because we know what's best for Putnam County. I don't need Tallahassee telling us what's best for how we govern, or they shouldn't be doing that because then there's no need for us, and that's not fair to our citizens. So, Mr. Chairman, those are my only comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Commissioner Turner?
Mr. Chairman, can I follow up on that real quick? Just a quick. There are legislative days that are coming up in March. I think it's the 25th through the 27th or something like that. So if the five of, can I just get an idea of are you five all wanting to go so I can go ahead and do what I need to do to make reservations for all five of you? I believe that's a Tuesday through Thursday.
Thought we already had reservations.
Is that the one you made reservations for?
Okay,
Yeah,
well.
I think there's already reservations there, but we
Well,
have a
there's some,
scheduled
there's
board
some been
meeting
made
on-
for April. I don't know about March.
We have a scheduled board
I
meeting.
think we have a scheduled board meeting
We do.
that day, so we're gonna have to maybe move it or do something, or, because if all of us are gone, there'll be no quorum here to vote on anything.
Well, I believe it, let me look at the calendar, just,
March 27th is a Wednesday.
is a Wednesday.
So-
Yeah, so it's 26 and 27. Tuesday is certainly a commission meeting, but I think you could travel up that evening and get ready for your early morning session on the 27th, and it's an all-day session up there. So,
Well, doesn't it go from the Monday all the way through Wednesday?
no, sir.
There's
Okay.
some ethics class, I think, that happens on Tuesday, but the main day is on the 27th, which is Wednesday.
That is correct.
Okay, so we can travel up after the meeting? on
Yes, sir.
Tuesday.
Let's travel up on Tuesday, the 26th, after your meeting, and stay all day on the 27th, and then either,
Reservation is?
No, he's talking about legislation.
I'm talking about legislative days in March.
County days.
Oh, well, that's two different things?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So reservations, I don't believe have been made for March. We've made them for April. So, if it's, if you want me to, I'll go ahead and work on getting rooms for all five of you.
Okay, so
That's
that's
smart.
not the thing that you made, okay.
That's in
There's
April.
rural county days and legislation days.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And you're right, I did not make reservations for.
Okay, well, I'll take care of that then for the five of you.
For clarity, then, that's gonna be the night of the 26th, 27th.
Yes. and if
28th?
you- Well,
Come home.
traveling home on the 28th, because it's an all-day session, with an event later that evening, so you'd want to stay the night and drive home the next day.
Okay.
Well, you drive to Clay Electric because our annual barbecue is on Thursday the 28th. So on your way back, you stop by there.
There you go.
And you eat some barbecue and, yeah.
All right, well, I'll take care of that for the
Invited
five.
there anyway.
Commissioner Harvey mentioned that there was a class that afternoon, or that,
On Tuesday, they're doing an ethics class, unfortunately, and
We're not gonna be able to make that because
We're
we
not
have a
gonna be able
workshop
to
that
make
afternoon. Okay.
not gonna.
Okay, thank you, Administrator Suggs.
Thank you.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes, good thing about going real close to last, is everybody's already announced everything, so, I have to do a lot of that. I did want to say, welcome to Brian Keith. He's been a bailiff with us now for a year, or starting at the courthouse. I think he just passed a year, so welcome to Brian. And, I was gonna mention the Azalea Parade too. I have a couple of bags of candy left over to throw to the children. That'll probably drive them nuts, because they say don't throw candy, but it's probably gonna happen anyhow.
If you toss
Break
it,
the law
you
again.
can toss it.
Oh,
You
toss
can't-
it, just can't throw it.
There's the
Okay.
difference there.
Okay, that sounded like a lawyer speaking. Anyhow.
Liability issue if you throw it. If you toss it, it's not so much liability.
Okay. I would also like to just say one other thing. I want to give kudos to Quinn and Press. They have gone out, up and beyond the call of duty to build that fire station in East Plaga. There's been some problems over there that make somebody pull their hair out, and they've done real good to try to move it forward and gone up and beyond what they needed to do. And I just thought they should get the recognition they deserve for that today. Mr. Chairman, with that, I yield the floor.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Turner. First, I'd like to say congratulations to Matt and Carrie. Hope it's a great wedding and a great vacation. I believe you're going overseas for a month or so.
It will feel like a month.
So, yeah. But please come back. On the second note, I'm a member of the Crescent City Rotary Club, and we were able to come up and help with the Wild Game Feast. I think it's your 5th or 6th year of having that back, and it really was well attended. The Rotary Club cooks all the items most of the items that are served. There was some 10 items that we fried, from gator tail to rabbit to pheasant, and I think it came out real well. And I think it's really special that the Rotary Clubs are working together. I know that the Breakfast Club and the Noon Club here in the Interlochen area lakes Club, they come down and help with Catfish Festival for our main fundraiser, and then Swine and Wine. So it's great that the clubs are working together. And I'd like to just make a note and recognize Press Tompkins and his staff, and really to thank Commissioner Turner for really being so adamant about us purchasing the leveling blades. We did take a little bit of criticism when we bought the extra equipment, but I think it's going to make our mowing season go much better this year. But the leveling blades, they've started to use those, and I've had 3 emails and one person catch me at church to thank me for the leveling blades and what they're doing in their subdivisions with the dirt roads. They said it really has helped. So hopefully with those working in conjunction with the graders, we'll provide a little bit better service to try to keep some of these dirt roads in really good shape, Press, and I just want to thank you for that. And one of the individuals that emailed me, he said it's the best job that he's seen on his road in 3 years. And I've been a commissioner for 3 years, so I've been hearing from this gentleman for 3 years. And but he was nice enough to make the comment. He said he really didn't know who the man was in that big orange tractor with the blade, but he sure was glad he was there. So anyway, thank you, Press. And with that, that's all my comments. Mr. Turner?
I have one other comment. I meant to say during commissioner comments that, for the time that I've been here, this board, every member of the board has always made comments about how it's much better when someone comes in, and instead of our staff telling them how they can't do something, try to work out with them how they can do something. And I've been talking to some people lately, and while we still have some effort on this front that we've got to try to overcome, I know that I've had several people lately come to me and tell me that they appreciated the attitudes and the way that some of the people have helped them, instead of telling them that they couldn't do something, started telling them what they needed to do to get it done, and to go through the ordinances. And that's usually all that people are looking for, is what do I need to do to be able to do what I want to do. So I just wanted to give kudos to the staff that have taken that, and Mike Brown's definitely one of them. When people comes in here and ask him how to get something done, he tries to tell them how they can get it done instead of why they can't. And I think that's a great attitude to have, and I wanted to thank him for that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you. We have a transportation meeting at 2 p.m. Any further business to come before this board? We stand adjourned.